As we've seen, the Syrian rebels are fighting a brutal dictatorship. But 3 years into the war, their ranks have been infiltrated by extremists loyal to al-Qaeda, who human rights groups say are just as ruthless as the government they fight. And so we turn now to stories sent us by Syrians living inside government-held territory, caught in the crossfire in the mountains above the city of Latakia.
As the final notes of the call to prayer that marks each new day echoed through the mountain villages of the pro-government region of Latakia, extremist opposition fighters were secretly advancing. Funded by al-Qaeda-linked groups based outside Syria, it was a coordinated attack on civilians.
Sunday morning, August 4th, the world was shaken awake.
First came the rockets.
The terrorists, they started firing, shelling. Gunshots rained down on the village.
Then the snipers. Proudly posted on YouTube, these difficult images were filmed by the jihadist fighters themselves. Human Rights Watch would condemn what they did here as crimes against humanity.
Everyone rushed to protect their wives and their children.
My husband yelled, "Close the door and hide." I said, "I swear to God I won't go without you."
Facing little resistance, they quickly owned the streets and attacked with abandon. A few of the villagers were armed, but they were outnumbered and outgunned.
I have a gun, but when the bullets run out, it's just a stick.
My husband saw them coming. He pointed at them. They shot him. After they killed them, they mutilated them. They cut them with a knife from here to here. They filmed it on the cell phone. Is there anything more evil than what they did to us?
They blocked the street off so nobody could pass. Right when I stopped, I saw people in front of me being killed. I got everybody out of the car. That was when my baby son was shot in the head.
My husband, we couldn't carry him, we couldn't move him, me and my daughters. They dragged me along like a child who couldn't walk.
My son is 2 years old. He was bleeding in my arms. What could a child have possibly done to deserve to die?
But at the end of that one day, the jihadist fighters had complete control. It was a systematic slaughter. The men they executed on the spot, the women and children were rounded up and taken away. Anyone left alive and uncaptured were fleeing into the woods.
We were being fired at. I swear, we were crawling, me and my daughters, barefoot and half naked.
The next morning, the army forces launched a counteroffensive. It took 13 days to take back the villages, but the horrors continued when the survivors returned. Their homes were desecrated, and they found close to 200 dead, many of the bodies discarded, often mutilated and burned. Bashar's son did live. His other son was also wounded, and both are left with permanent reminders of the vicious attack.
We didn't bury 1, 2, or 3. There are mass graves, and there are still people missing. We don't know if they are alive or dead.
Is there anything more evil, more hateful? My daughter and I are suffering.
So many families in this conflict don't know what has happened to their loved ones. Are they dead, or have they been captured, becoming one of the thousands of people who have disappeared, leaving their families in an agonizing no man's land like this one?
I always call. Sometimes they answer and then hang up. Sometimes they don't answer at all.
Abu Amjad is desperate to reach his son, last seen here in an image no family wants to see. Posted by his captors on YouTube, the video shows 18-year-old Amjad Khalouf being seized by rebel forces, joining the ranks of thousands of young men who have have disappeared on both sides of this conflict.
He said, I'm going to go fight. We begged him not to.
According to them, he only recently joined a pro-regime militia group.
He's a teenager. You give them a gun and they feel all powerful.
An uncle of Amjad's risks reaching across the battle lines to a man who was once a friend, seeking any help from the opposition side.
You are my brother with every meaning of the word. If you can help us with this, it's a favor of a lifetime.
But for the family, it is hard to hold out hope.
I'm afraid that there's no negotiating with them.
In recent days, Amjad's family has been torn between demands from his alleged captors for money and the devastating news that he has been killed. Like so many other families of the disappeared, they have no idea what to believe. They, too, are caught in the crossfire. Like our 13-year-old Abdullah, who has had to go into hiding as more extreme Islamic factions, which his family doesn't support, have taken over the opposition movement.
There is no one helping the people of Syria, the people of Aleppo, the people in my neighborhood. Every day we have to hide from the snipers and the bombs.
And Abu Youssef, who, shot by a sniper, had recovered enough recently to revisit the scene of his attack.
There's only that wall between me and the regime army.
And Noor, who was also hurt in the conflict but continues to share scenes of the war with the world.
It's a lost case on both sides. It's bad what happened to Syria here. But it's not gonna end soon.